2, 1.
Baby boo, I do really, really love you. Baby boo, I do really, love you.
Hello and welcome back to Amakado online classes. Please do like our videos, share, subscribe, so I can keep doing this more and more for you as well. So this is the sewing part of our shift dress, and if you really like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and wherever you think we can improve, do let me know as well. Okay, so now I had said for that pattern we did, we're going to be cutting it on a two-colored fabric. All right, so we're using white on one side and yellow on one side. That was the essence of adding the allowances that we did. Okay, so this is our pattern. Don't forget that we have the allowances here that I said we should add. Okay, so this is how it's going to stay, and just to make sure that we have enough. All right, so you place your pattern, so that means one side is going to be white and one side is going to be yellow. All right, so I'm going to pin this down and then show you how to cut it. Okay, so I'm done pinning and I'm now going to cut it out. So once you're done pinning, please cut it out. So I'm done cutting, and please always remember, when you cut like this, try to mark where your back and your front is, especially the fabric I'm using. Most times if you don't mark, you may likely not know. And then one other thing I do when I'm done is to try to mark where the pocket is going to be, so by the time I'm placing it, it won't give me any issues. So what I do is just for the it's for one part, so I always just make this just some marks around to the four corners that I'll be placing it on the particular part that I'll be placing. So you don't have to, but like I said, there are some people here that are just learning, so I always take everybody into consideration. All right, now I'll move this. I'm going to mark only on the yellow, because it's actually the yellow I'm placing the if you want to place it on the white as well, please, you can go ahead and mark on the white. It all depends on what you want. So on the other hand, I'm even thinking, where should I place it? Should we do it on the white? Anyway, it's actually fine. So I'm actually even marking on both, then I'll decide when I'm done. So once I've marked, I can remove my pin, go to the next part. So now this my marking for me is not necessary, but I do it because I just want my pocket to stay exactly at the point that I created for it. That's just the essence of it. Okay. So once you're done with that, we'll take off our pins. Okay. So we'll take off our pins, fold that, and keep. So we're now going to cut the back. So for the back, I'm actually using white totally. So like I said, this one is your creativity, anyhow you want to do it. So now, as we are about cutting the back, it's on fold. Remember I said it's on fold. So I'm folding off. Remember, we're using just one paper to do this. Like, I'm using the same pattern to cut for the back and the front. So it just makes it easy. So just fold off that ½ inch that you added. That's just what I have done. Now it becomes, it's on fold, so you're just going to pin it totally close. So I'll just pin it round and I'll show you. Okay, so I'm done pinning, so you're going to cut it out. Please don't forget this is on fold, so I pinned it just at the edge. It's folded, there's no cut at that point. All right, so we'll just cut it out. So you may ask, why did I keep this space? I just she wanted a bit longer. Sewing this is as easy as anything. That's why you call it a shift dress, because within 30 minutes, it's even up to 30 minutes. I mean, you're totally done with it. Just have to show you the cutting, so you won't say, oh, you always cut off camera. All right, so we're going to cut the pocket now. Okay, so I'm about cutting the pocket now, and I'm doubling it. You don't have to, but I'm doubling it to give it a proper finish, you know, so it's still up to you. I had copied it out, and I had added my allowances as well. Now what I've tried to do here is to make sure that all the colors at least, you know, show the white, the whatever. Okay, so you're just going to pin it down and cut. Okay, so I've cut round it. So to cut the middle part, just, you know, give it that notch. I've added allowances even to the middle part because I'm going to stitch this close. We're done with the cutting, so let's move on to our sewing. Okay guys, so this is the pocket, the part we're using as a pocket. So I'm going to just stitch this, the smaller part of the hole. I'm going to just stitch it round at 1/2 inch so that we can turn it. Don't forget that I'm working on the wrong side of the fabric. Okay, so just stitch it round at 1/2 inch or whatever you kept, you know, just to give it that neat finish. Okay, so I'm done with that. Now you have I think my thread is actually finished too. So you have two options. You can actually, for this, okay, let me take out my pins before I explain. So you have two options. You can actually just put your scissors and notch round before you turn, because it just gives you that flawless finish, right? Or I just prefer to trim it at 1/8. So 1/8 is like 1 bar of your tape, just 1 bar. So like trim it close, but please still be careful with your seam, right? So you're not trimming into your seam, it's just to allow it turn properly. Okay, so I'm done with that. So that's my 1/8. So once you're done, you flip over. Okay, so once we do this, I always do this first because I just like preparing whatever I'm working with. Okay, so I flipped. So see, right, this is the parts we're going to put on the dress. So what I do is that you're going to give it a good press. All right, so giving it a good press, you're now also going to fold this, fold all of them. I fold and iron, it comes out perfectly well. Just take your time and just go in, you know, little, just take it small, keep folding and iron it. So I'm going to do that and I'll come back and show you. Okay, so I've been able to iron, so that's it there. Okay, so I folded it So that's the way I'll pin it on the fabric. Okay, so this is a time of decision. So I'm trying to decide where this should go, right? So now this is the front of that fabric. Remember, like I told you earlier, I had marked the two sides, so you know that. So this is how it's going to stay. So it's at this point you're going to now try to decide, okay, where do you want to paste this? You want to paste it on the yellow, you want to paste it on the white, you know, however, whatever you think works better. Okay, so in this case, I don't know, I'm trying to decide if it works. I think I'll like it on the white. Also looks very pretty on the yellow as well. So wherever you want it to be is fine. So I've chosen to use it on the yellow part. So now I will try to place it. Remember, we did some markings. I know that the smaller part stays at the up. Okay, so I'm trying to place it on those markings, taking into consideration you can't forget that you have half an inch you're sewing off, and you also have half an inch you're sewing off at this part. So I've aligned it, see, so I've placed them. You can also turn it, you know, turn it that you're really sure that it stays on the parts you had marked. Okay, so this is where the hand will go into. So having done that, I'll pin. So with this, obviously I have to be working with a black thread to put this down. So I'm going to change my thread off camera, and we're going to just stitch round. We're just stitching just this part, we're stitching it round. Okay, so I'm just going to stitch, and please, when you're stitching, you're just stitching right at the edge, you know, to give it that neat finishing. Okay, so I'm going to stitch all around, and I'm going to show you. So I'm done with that. So that's it. So this is the pocket here. So what you have is just in here. All right, so I'm done with this. We're now going to join the two together. Okay, so I've cut out facing. You have a choice, either to use your bias and tape the neck when you're done, or to use a facing. A facing is just the same thing, cut out as, you know, same shape of the fabric that you're going to be working with. So the first thing I'm going to do is join the shoulders of the main body together. So I'm just trying to look for the wrong and right side. Okay, so there are a lot of ways to do this thing. It's not, there's no norm about joining. I can as well start by joining the front piece together before joining this. So I'm not saying it has to be like this. It's just the way I feel like starting for this one. So I'm going to be joining my shoulders at half of an inch. Don't forget that the fabric I'm using is stretchy, so you need to really be careful. Like, you have to guide it, so one does not end up being longer than the other. So you're going to do the joining of the shoulders for both the main fabric and the facing as well. Okay, so I've also joined the facing shoulder to shoulder. So having done this I'm going to iron it open because I didn't cut on fold for the back, so I'll iron it open. So having done that, well, I'm doing this because I'm going to iron down the facing. I just want it to have a neat finishing. Okay, so you now look for your back. This is the back neckline, right? So it's from the front. You're going to place this just exactly the same way. Like I said, I'm going to iron this open. So you're going to place and pin down. Okay, so you're going to match all of them because we are going to actually, now for the front we can also join as well. We don't even have to leave it like this, but if I just wanted to explain something, but in case you don't join it and you're going to, you know, leave it this way, like we are joining it, see, I didn't join this together yet. That means we are going to put it like this, and then we'll join front to front and, you know, whip, like do your overlocking on this whole part. So this is going to be overlocked. But if you're not going to do it this way, then that means you're going to have to sew this separately, and then we will turn it. But it's easier for a lot of people when you're just going to sew this down. It gives you that easy finishing for a V-line. The other one works very well too, because I'm also going to show you what to do with the back if you're going to use that method. So whichever method you want works. So if you're going to use the method of the back, you've seen I joined the facing already, and this side, so I'm just going to be sewing to my V and move from here and go this way. But for the front part, I'm actually not joining facing separately and body separately. I'm joining it together. So I'm going to be stitching it, so by the time I'm joining the front, I'm stitching it straight down, and I'll be weaving this whole part. Now, why am I using facing? It's so that I can iron, you know, when I flip it over, I can put my hemming gum and iron it down. I'm not going to be stitching. I don't want any stitches, any mark of stitching to show. So that's what we're going to do. So now I'm going to first press this open, and then I'll pin all of it and I'll show you. Okay, so this is the neck. I've pinned it. So I've pinned the facing all around the neck. So the next thing I'm going to do, where I'm going to be sewing this V, at this point here, I'm going to mark half. I would like to know where my half an inch is going to be. Okay, so I'm going to bring down my half an inch this way into this line that I had stitched already. Okay, I'll place it here as well, and I'll also try to mark down where my half an inch is. So now I have a point. I'm trying to make that pencil mark a bit visible. So I have a point here. So when I'm sewing, I have to make sure that I am sewing to this point. And when I stop here, I'll put my needle there and lift it up and sew this way. I can also back stitch there and still start at that point. That's the only good part, you know. That's the part, like the other part, we don't need to go through this. It's just to stitch down, okay? So now I'm going to be stitching this down. So here you can start at half an inch to this point, or you can just start here. You don't even have to. So I can also start here to sew. So don't forget that we're sewing at half of an inch. Just try to be arranging, so make sure that you're not picking anything apart from what you're sewing on the other side. So I'm approaching that point that I soon as I get there, my needle is inside there, I'll just, while my needle is inside, and I'll flip this way and then continue down this way. So I'll now sew to the end and I'll show you. So once you're done, you can now open this up. You know, be careful with your seam so you don't get in there. So most times you can just do your notch, or you reduce the seam. Any one you want is very okay. So most times I also reduce the seam, like the bulk, because I don't really want the bulk there. So I may end up reducing it. So like I always say, if you want to reduce your bulk, you just trim it down. So you can top stitch as well. It will just still give you that nice finish. So this is what I was saying. So you're just turning this. So you have that nice finish. So we're just going to use hemming gum on this other part and iron it down. So I'm going to iron that down and show you. Like I said, you can top stitch it if you want, but because I'm going to really give it a proper ironing, I don't need to top stitch it. So I'm just going to iron it, put the hemming gum in between. Please just place your hemming gum here and iron it down. That's all I'm going to do. I'll come back and show you. Okay, so that's what I've done. So you weave your edges for the facing, and then so I've just ironed it with my hemming gum. Okay, so that's how neat. So I just didn't want the right side having any stitches on it. So if you want, like I had said, you can use your bias as well and do this. Okay, so now that we're done with this, we can now seal our front. So most people find it easy to do it this way, but for me, any which way works. It doesn't really matter. So just make sure this stays at your heart, because while ironing, like mine flipped inside, so I've just opened it back up. Okay, so just make sure it's at your normal half. So anything that looks like it's not properly done, just open it up, and when you're ironing, you can now iron. So that's, I've done it properly. So you hold this side as well. Okay, like I said, arrange it, let it stay properly, because that's, it's supposed to be at half of an inch, right? So I'm just trying to make sure that it stays back. That's it. Okay. So once you've placed it this way, we're going to just stitch at half of an inch. So you're just closing that front part that we were meant to have closed initially. Okay. So I've placed it. I've put it at my half of an inch. So I'm going to stitch from there, but please arrange it properly. Like I said, if you're going to go this route, please, you're going to have to weave it, you know. So when you stitch, this is what you're going to get, but you're going to have to keep it properly. So like I said, if you're going to go this route, we're going to do this, and then we are going to weave on this side. So you're going to just stitch everything. This is the front side, just stitch it all the way down. So, like I said earlier, this is the front I'm stitching down, the half an inch back. So please just stitch it all the way down. So I said earlier on, if you're using this, if you're going this route, there are a lot of ways to sew this thing, a lot of ways. It doesn't really have to be this way. So you're going to have to move. You can also seal this. You know, there's another way. You can as well sew to the end, and then we will turn it and stitch it down. I'm also going to, I don't know if I can loosen this. I don't want to just give it, but I'm probably going to loosen this and show you the other way. So this way we just stitched it down. We still have what we want. So let me show you the second method. Okay. So the other way also to do it is to open up this part. Right? See, we have it folded this way. This is our facing. So open up the facing. Open up the facing. Match this part. Like I said, there are a lot of ways. Remember the way I showed you for the back, you can also use that method. Make sure you've matched the seam part. Okay. Match it properly. For me, I love pinning so that it doesn't move. Okay. So once you match these other ones as well, and you're going to sew from here, from the facing all the way to the main part. Just make sure that the seam line does not shift. It's very important so that you have everything staying the same. So I'm very focused on that seam part. So I always leave my pin there, but I'm careful so that you just don't go hard when you're sewing and the pin inside. So I can now take off my pin and just sew all the way down. So that's method 2 I have shown you. Like I said, whichever one you find easy is okay. So if I close it, have you seen? So what you do at that point is just take off the ball, just to allow it lay. Please be careful when you're cutting that you're not cutting off the seam. Okay. So I always reduce the bulk at that point. So you can now put your hemming gun and put it down. So it still gives you a very beautiful finish. Now have you seen that? So now that we're done with this, we can now seal the sides. So you can seal the sides. You're starting from so we can seal the sides now, then later you now hem, as in fold your sleeve part, or you fold it before you seal the sides. Please, like I said, any one that works for you, do it. At this point, you're meant to weave the whole of this thing already. You know, take it to your weaving machine and weave it. So I'm just folding a little, like 1 inch. So my folding is 1 inch. So like I said, you can fold after you have joined the sides. Or you can join the sides, so you can fold anyone that is easier. This whole thing is anyone that is easier for you, and then gives you that proper finishing. Because at the end of the day, it's just whatever gives you, just finish it nicely. That's what your clients actually want. It's just that nice finishing. So having done that, okay, can now seal the sides. Remember, we kept half an inch. What I've done here, please, you're going to do same to the other side. do same to the other side as well. Okay, so I'm done with the two sides now. So the next thing to do is to fold the hem. Now for this part, what I do is I fold for the white and stop where the white stops, and I'll change it to a yellow thread and do this part, so that you're not seeing white thread on the yellow. That's what I always advise people to do. It makes your work more neater, you know, than maybe because you just don't want to change thread, so you just use the white thread. A lot of people do it. It's okay, but I think it's not okay because it doesn't take us anything. So I'm starting exactly where the white thread is. Now when I'm done hemming the white parts, I'll now change my thread and hem the yellow part. So that's basically what I'm going to do. So I'll do the white part now, and then I'll show you what I'm doing. So I've changed my thread to yellow. Although the thread I was using is actually milk, you wouldn't have even noticed it, but still I had to, so that you know the right way to, you know, get these things done, so you're not just doing it the wrong way. So I'm done sealing, so I'm going to actually have to go iron and then weave the insides, right? So here we have it, and have simple, lovely looking. I'll give this down part a good press, so you need to, so that it just stays, so it will just stay for you. All right, so it's looking very lovely already. So give us a thumbs up if you like this video, like, share, and please subscribe if you haven't. And I'll be bringing more videos your way. If anywhere you think we haven't done well, you know, I'm actually always open to whatever your opinions as well, because it helps us grow better. All right, so please make yours, and let's see. You can actually send me a message. I'm always ready to take your questions and put you through but I'm actually going to show you the picture of my clients putting this on as well. All right, so see you in the next video. My name has been Nita, and this has been a Macadel online training. So see you.